Joining me right now, Avery Freeman, a civil rights attorney and law professor, and Richard Herman, a criminal defense attorney. Good to see you both.
All right.
Good afternoon, Fred.
So, Avery, you first. You know, these are two lawsuits that are taking very different approaches toward Epstein's estate. Why?
Well, hooray for the victims. They've got good lawyers who are looking at different ways of making the estate accountable. Number one, Jennifer Reyes, who we saw an op-ed piece in the Times a couple of days ago, is going into state court using traditional assault battery cases. But the two other women are using a federal law, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, which provides for damages. It was just amended as early as this year, 2019. And what an exciting way to make the estate accountable for these women who have suffered all these years. And I think all three cases are a sign that victims who've suffered for all these years, Frederica, can now come forward using either state or federal forums to stand up and fight back.
But then, Richard, since the criminal case died with Jeffrey Epstein, you know, how can a defendant who is no longer here, you know, be tried? How will a civil case, how can it be won just simply by way of or can it be challenged, unchallenged potential, you know, other testimonies or even evidence?
Well, his lawyers are saying, no, you can't. You don't have him. He can't speak from the grave. How can he contest anything? But that's not going to fly, and these cases are going to proceed, Fred. But, you know, Avery's all hooping and hollering and all excited about this. These are very, very difficult cases, Fred. You have issues of corroboration. You have issues of people recollecting events that took place 15 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago.
And people can say, I don't recall.
That's right.
They're not as simple. Right, and they're not as simple. And the most important thing, and nobody's talking about this, Fred, is this. Epstein went through this ordeal in 2008. He wasn't a stupid guy. He had advisors. I'm speculating that his assets are airtight in trusts and in other names, just like O.J. Simpson. They got $50 million judgment against him. They couldn't collect anything. Don't be surprised if Epstein is completely judgment-proof and airtight, and any verdicts against him are going to be useless because you're not going to be able to collect.
And so, Avery, in these civil cases, there will be this pursuit of, you know, alleged co-conspirators also.
Exactly.
And, you know, when we talk about the span of time, whether it's 15 years, and, you know, it's likely that some of those alleged co-conspirators will say, they'll be the ones who will say, I don't recall. And so that will make it very difficult for the accusers, would it not?
Well, you know what? I'm very optimistic about the litigation because, among other things, let me give you a couple of examples. When one of the teens was involved there, among the things that Epstein would do, she was starring in a high school play, so he sent flowers. Another one, he was indicating a willingness to pay tuition at NYU. The records are substantial. This is civil. This is not criminal. And what that means is the discovery is going to involve going into records, looking at those trusts to see if they were properly or improperly put together. And I must tell you, given the nature of discovery, the records, the calendars, computers, all this information, I am very optimistic that the victims are going, that's not hooping and hollering, that's a reality, and it's a sober reality, and I think the victims are going to be successful.
So one of those other alleged co-conspirators would be this Ghislaine, you know, Maxwell, who was, you know, once girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, and apparently she's been very difficult to find, but, you know, Richard, in her case, I mean, her name is out there. There have been all these associations made, but what can be done to, I guess, apprehend or get her to be interviewed or testify? I mean, what's the situation on finding her? Is it really that mysterious?
A couple of things real fast here. First of all, against Epstein, there are rules of evidence which will preclude anybody from testifying as to what Epstein said to them. So that's not going to be admissible, Fred. Now, with respect to this Ghislaine Maxwell, this woman is, I think, in a heap of trouble because the Department of Justice has, you know, egg all over their face on the death of Epstein while under their protection, supposedly, suicide. So basically, They're going after everybody, and Attorney General Barr said if you were a facilitator or you were involved in it, we're coming for you. So this woman
That's right.
is number one. She is number one target, I think. And I'm again speculating, but if she was smart, she would call me don't call a lawyer immediately. And get representation and go cut a deal to save your life, because they're going to throw it all on her, Fred. They're going to make her the bad guy.
Way off.
They're going to make her the bad guy.
Okay, and remember, a medical examiner determined that it, based on the autopsy results, that Epstein, did hang himself and died that way.
That's exactly right.
Okay, well, we got to leave it there for now, and
see you soon.
keep us
Take care.
updated in
Fred.
your, world
bet.
of legal friends. See, what you learn about the whereabouts of anybody. Avery Friedman, Richard Herman, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
See you
Fred.
soon.
All right, we'll be right back.